There comes a moment in the life of a woman when the mirror no longer holds the final word about her worth, when the applause of the world grows dim in comparison to the resonance of her own heartbeat. That moment, often subtle, almost always sacred, is the threshold into a deeper kind of magnetism. Not the allure of youthful perfection, but the radiance of a woman who knows who she is. There is a silent revolution in redefining what it means to be irresistible. Not in the conventional sense, not in the airbrushed ideals of glossy magazines or fleeting compliments, but in something far more enduring, an authenticity rooted in soul. A mature woman does not seek validation in surface impressions. She does not decorate her identity with trends or disguise her essence in what is expected. Instead, she has shed the armor of needing to be liked, admired, or approved by those who never truly saw her. She walks into a room not to be seen, but because she sees herself. When a woman reclaims her definition of beauty, she reclaims her freedom. She no longer measures her value by how many turn their heads, but by how deeply she has turned inward. Her sense of allure does not come from adornment alone, but from a presence sculpted by self-acceptance. The lines on her face are not flaws to be smoothed, but stories, maps of where she's wept, laughed, and endured. There is nothing more seductive than a woman who no longer betrays herself to be digestible. In the words of Jung, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And so she allows herself to be shaped not by approval, but by her becoming. Her style becomes a ritual of self-expression, not conformity. Her body is not a battlefield, but a temple, respected, not scrutinized. She does not shrink in the presence of other women's light. She shines alongside it, knowing that beauty is not a competition but a constellation. When she speaks from the depth of her knowing. She carries the weight of her truth lightly, like silk woven from years of choosing herself. This kind of beauty can't be imitated. It can't be bought or borrowed. It is cultivated in silence, in solitude, in shadow work. It is shaped by the courage to disappoint others in order to be in alignment with oneself. And it is precisely because of this courageous authenticity that her presence becomes a kind of quiet gravity. People are drawn to her, not because she's trying to be anything, but because she's no longer trying at all. There is an undeniable power that radiates from a woman who knows herself. Not the kind of superficial self-knowledge built from curated identities or borrowed beliefs, but the deep, bone-deep recognition of who she is beneath the masks. A mature woman has descended into her own depths. She has met the parts of herself she once tried to exile, the insecurities, the doubts, the rage, the sorrow, and she has made peace with them. She has learned that true power is not domination, but integration. To be irresistible is to be whole, and wholeness can only come from knowing oneself intimately. Carl Jung taught that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The mature woman has taken this to heart. She has stopped running from her patterns and started dialoguing with them. She no longer asks others to complete her because she has spent time discovering what she truly needs. She has listened to the voice behind the noise, and she trusts its guidance. Her decisions are no longer reactive, driven by fear or longing. They are intentional, emerging from clarity. This kind of self-awareness is magnetic because it is rare. In a world addicted to distraction, she has made time to be still. In a society obsessed with image, she has chosen substance. And in relationships, she does not offer a facade, she offers her essence. This makes her compelling, not because she is perfect, but because she is real. She doesn't need to boast or seek permission. Her knowing is her anchor, and it shows in her posture, her silence, her words. She no longer seeks herself in others' reflections. She has become her own mirror. And through that inner alignment, she creates a kind of sacred space wherever she goes. People sense the difference, even if they can't name it. They feel safer, more awake, more honest in her presence. That is the power of a woman who knows herself, not just intellectually, but spiritually, emotionally, and archetypally. She is not just a person. She is an invitation to be more authentic, more grounded, more alive. A mature woman has become an alchemist of her own emotional life. She no longer fears the storm within her. She understands that each feeling carries a message, a lesson, a sacred thread in the tapestry of her becoming. She has learned that emotions are not enemies to be silenced, but energies to be witnessed, felt, and ultimately transmuted. Her rage has taught her where her boundaries were breached. Her sadness has shown her what she values most. Her joy has reminded her of the aliveness that pulses at the core of her being. She does not numb or bypass. She listens, she learns, and she transforms. This emotional maturity is not a mask of constant calm, nor a performance of positivity. It is the quiet strength of someone who knows how to hold herself in her own arms. When she feels grief, she doesn't run, she gives it space. When triggered, she doesn't project, she pauses, reflects, and responds from a deeper place. She knows how to be with her pain without becoming it. Like a seasoned gardener, she turns the compost of her suffering into fertile ground for wisdom. In Jungian thought, individuation is the process of becoming the self, of integrating all parts of who we are. The mature woman has done this inner work. She has taken responsibility for her inner world. She no longer blames others for her discomfort, nor does she overextend herself to manage others' emotions. Her emotional life is her sacred domain. She does not suppress, she does not explode, she channels. There is something profoundly attractive about a woman who does not let chaos govern her. Not because she is detached, but because she has become the steady flame in her own hearth. She can hold space for others without losing herself. She can listen without absorbing. She can love deeply without collapsing. Her calm is not circumstantial, it is cultivated. And this emotional alchemy makes her not only irresistible, but trustworthy. In her presence, others feel that they too might learn to befriend their own depths. A mature woman understands that love without boundaries is not love. It is sacrifice. She has lived through the unraveling that comes from overgiving, from saying yes when her soul whispered no, from trying to earn love through self-abandonment. And she has learned, not in a way that made her hard, but in a way that made her clear. Her boundaries are not walls built from fear. They are thresholds of self-respect. She does not raise them to keep people out, but to honor the sanctity of what she has cultivated within. There is an art to how she says no, with kindness, without apology, without explanation. She does not perform discomfort to soften the blow. She understands that her limits are an extension of her truth. And in drawing them, she invites others to meet her not in possession or control, but in respect. The mature woman no longer allows herself to be consumed by relationships that drain her vitality. She knows that real connection is born not in enmeshment, but in the dance between closeness and space. Carl Jung spoke often of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we disown or repress. A woman who has integrated her shadow no longer uses others as mirrors for unmet needs. She does not manipulate to feel secure. She does not tolerate emotional chaos under the guise of love. She chooses peace over drama, alignment over approval, truth over comfort. This does not mean she lacks empathy. It means she has learned the cost of losing herself and has vowed not to pay it again. There is a grace to her detachment, a softness to her sovereignty. She does not need to prove her strength through coldness or stoicism. She can be tender and still say, "This is as far as I go." Her energy speaks before her words do. People learn quickly what she will allow and what she will not through threat, but through the quiet confidence of someone who knows her worth. In her presence there is safety, not because she rescues others, but because she models how to rescue oneself. She inspires honesty, clarity, and mutual accountability. And because she honors her own boundaries, others are drawn to her with more intention, more presence, and more truth. Her boundaries are not just personal, they are spiritual. They are the invisible lines that protect her essence, making her all the more magnetic. A mature woman has learned the sacred rhythm of her own energy. She no longer races to keep up with a world obsessed with doing, performing, and proving. She has unhooked herself from the belief that her worth is measured by her productivity. Instead, she moves with intention. She listens to her body, her breath, her intuition, and lets them guide her pace. In a culture that worships burnout, as a badge of honor, she has chosen restoration as a radical act of self-respect. She knows when to push and when to pause. She no longer shames herself for needing rest or quiet or solitude. These are not indulgences, they are necessities. In reclaiming her rhythm, she reclaims her power. She honors the cycles of her body, the fluctuations of her moods, the whispers of her soul. She does not force herself into conformity. She shapes her life around what is true for her. This authenticity creates an energy that is felt before it is seen, a grounded, radiant presence that does not waver with the noise outside. Carl Jung once said that hurry is not of the devil, it is the devil. And a mature woman has recognized the cost of living in a state of perpetual urgency. She no longer confuses speed with success. She has come to understand that the most meaningful transformations happen in stillness, in the fertile void where nothing seems to be happening, and yet everything is. In this space, she connects with something deeper than ambition. She aligns with her purpose, not as a goal to chase, but as a natural unfolding of who she is. Her time is sacred, and she spends it wisely. She does not give it to those who drain her, nor does she waste it on pursuits that pull her out of alignment. She knows the difference between being busy and being present, and her presence is powerful because it is whole. People feel it when she enters a room, not because she demands attention, but because she embodies attention. This reverence for her own energy is not selfish, it is necessary. It allows her to show up in the world with more clarity, more creativity, more compassion. She is not exhausted by life. She is nourished by it, because she moves in harmony with it. In doing so, she reminds others that it is not only possible, but essential, to live from a place of alignment rather than obligation, and that is what makes her irresistibly alive. A mature woman has cultivated a way of being that honors the beauty of presence. She no longer feels compelled to fill silences with noise or spaces with performance. She has grown into the grace of simply being, fully, unapologetically, and without embellishment. In conversation, she listens not to respond, but to understand. Her attention is a gift, rare and generous, and those who are fortunate enough to receive it feel seen in ways they perhaps never have before. She does not fragment herself across 1,000 distractions. She is here, in this moment, rooted like a tree with deep roots and wide branches. Presence for her is not a performance, it is a practice. One she has refined through solitude, reflection, and a courageous commitment to truth. She understands that to be truly present is to be vulnerable, to remove the armor of pretense, to risk being changed by what we encounter. It is to step out of control and into connection. In her presence, others feel invited to lower their defenses, to drop the mask, to breathe deeper. She carries a quality of calm not because she has avoided chaos, but because she has passed through it and emerged with something timeless in her gaze. Carl Jung wrote of the soul as something that speaks through symbols, through silence, through the in-between. A woman who has embraced presence lives close to her soul. She does not rush to label every experience or resolve every tension. She allows space for mystery, for contradiction, for slow unfolding. There is wisdom in how she moves, how she speaks, how she pauses. Even her stillness has texture layered with memory, insight, and awareness. When she walks into a room, there is no need for announcement. Her presence speaks first. It says, "I know who I am. I know what matters. I am not here to impress. I am here to embody." And that embodiment creates a resonance that lingers. People find themselves drawn to her not because she demands it, but because she reflects something they long for within themselves. The permission to simply be. This kind of presence cannot be faked. It is earned through living fully, through falling and rising, through learning to sit with discomfort instead of fleeing from it. It is a quiet magnetism, a gravity of the soul. And it is this grounded, intentional, embodied way of being that makes her not only irresistible, but unforgettable. A mature woman knows the immense power of gratitude, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a conscious orientation toward life. She does not practice gratitude only when things are easy or beautiful, but especially when life is messy, uncertain, or breaking her open. She has learned to hold both joy and sorrow in the same breath, and still whisper thank you. Her gratitude is not performative. It is profound. It rises from the depth of having lived, of having lost, of having dared to love and let go, and still finding beauty in the smallest of things. A morning light spilling across her bed, the laughter of a child, the resilience in her own heartbeat. She has come to understand that gratitude is not about denying pain or pretending that everything is fine. It is about choosing to see what is real and precious, even in the midst of difficulty. It is about saying, yes, this too, to all that life brings. This acceptance does not make her passive, it makes her powerful. Because when a woman is rooted in gratitude, she cannot be shaken by the temporary. She no longer lives in scarcity or comparison. She celebrates the victories of others as if they were her own, because she knows abundance is not a pie to be divided but a light to be shared. Carl Jung often spoke of the symbolic life, a life rich with meaning beyond the material. A grateful woman lives this symbolic life. She notices signs, synchronicities, and soul nudges. She is attuned to what most people overlook. Her gratitude is not just for what she has, but for what she has survived, for what she has learned, for the person she has become. She does not take her awakening for granted. She honors her path, even the hard chapters, as sacred ground that shaped her wisdom. This gratitude is contagious. It shifts the energy in a room. It softens hearts. It uplifts without preaching. In her presence, people feel more alive, more aware, more thankful for their own journey. She inspires not by telling others to be grateful, but by embodying a spirit of reverence in the way she moves through the world. She brings a certain warmth, a fullness, a quiet joy that cannot be manufactured. It is the result of deep inner work and soulful perception, and this makes her irresistible, not because she is always cheerful, but because she lives with depth and perspective. Her gratitude is a daily devotion, a sacred lens, a chosen clarity. She reminds us that life, with all its complexities, is still worthy of awe, and that to live with open eyes and a grateful heart is, in itself, a revolutionary act. A mature woman embodies a confidence that does not shout but resonates. It is not born of external validation or perfection, but of deep inner knowing. She no longer seeks approval in every room she enters. She brings approval with her. She has wrestled with doubt, danced with failure, and come face to face with her own shadows. And through it all she has emerged not untouched but unshaken. Her confidence is not brittle ego. It is soul-rooted. It is the kind of self-assurance that comes from surviving, healing, growing, and choosing to love herself anyway. She wears her scars like sacred tattoos, not ashamed, but proud of the woman they have shaped. There is nothing naive about her strength. It is earned, weathered, and refined. She has learned that being confident doesn't mean being fearless, but trusting herself even when fear is present. It's the steady voice inside her that says, "You've been through worse. You can handle this too." And others feel that. They are drawn to her because she doesn't need to compete, to compare, or to conform. She belongs to herself, and that is rare. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming uniquely oneself by integrating all aspects of the psyche. A confident woman has done this work. She no longer hides the parts of herself that once felt too much or not enough. She has befriended the girl she once was, forgiven the woman she had to become, and honored the soul she continues to unfold into. Her confidence is not a costume. It is a home she carries within her. Whether she's dressed in elegance or standing barefoot in the soil, she owns her space. There is a calm in her eyes, a clarity in her voice, a certainty in her step. She does not seek to overpower. She seeks to align. Her words are intentional. Her silence is meaningful. She uplifts others without dimming her own light. She knows her worth, and she does not negotiate it. Not in love, not in work, not in friendship. And because she values herself, others are compelled to value her too. Her confidence is not about being better. It's about being real. It's the freedom of someone who is no longer trying to prove, but simply to be. And in a world that profits off insecurity, that kind of wholeness is both radical and magnetic. It teaches others by example, reminding them that true beauty is not about perfection. It's about presence. And that the most irresistible women are not the ones who try to fit in, but the ones who are courageous enough to stand fully in their truth. As we stand at the threshold of our own becoming, let us remember that the journey to maturity is not a destination but a continuous unfolding. The habits we cultivate, the knowing of ourselves, the mastery of our emotions, the honoring of boundaries, the reverence for our energy, the grace of presence, the power of gratitude, and the quiet, confidence born from deep inner work are the very threads that weave the fabric of an irresistible life. This is not about perfection or performance, but about the courage to live authentically and wholly. In embracing these habits, we do more than change ourselves. We invite others to do the same. We become beacons of transformation, reflections of a deeper truth that calls to the soul. As Jung so profoundly observed, the privilege of our existence is to individuate, to become who we truly are beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. And in doing so, we embody a light that cannot be dimmed. So I challenge you today. Cultivate these habits with patience and compassion. Let your life be a testament to the power of maturity, not as a limitation, but as liberation. Walk forward, knowing that your most irresistible self is already within you, waiting to be lived fully. Let this be your call to action, your invitation to step into the world as the whole, radiant, and profoundly magnetic woman you are meant to be.